Hey, everyone, it's Betsy here, and today we're going to use what's called the X box to factor our trinomials. Now, these might be a little more difficult than the ones you're used to because the difference is instead of having a 1 in front of the x squared, we're going to have different numbers. That makes it just a little more difficult, but if you follow the X box, it's not too bad. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start like we start any other problem. We're going to factor out the greatest common factor. So because the first term here, the leading coefficient is negative, I'm going to factor out that negative. Then I look, I've got a 6, a 25, and a 25. Well, 6 doesn't go into 25 evenly. So what multiplies a 6? 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Well, 3 doesn't go into 25 evenly, and 2 doesn't go into 25 evenly. So I can't factor anything else out. So we're going to make our parentheses. And as you learned from the other videos, we've got 3 terms to start with. We need to have 3 terms in our parentheses. So a negative times a positive gives me this negative. A negative times a positive gives me this negative. And a negative times a positive will give me this negative. So all we did was factor out a negative, which changed all the signs in the parentheses. Now, we are going to take what we have here, and I'm going to write it just a little bit bigger for you. Use a different color. What color should we go with now? Okay, and let's make it just a little bigger. So I've got negative, and then in parentheses, 6x squared plus 25x, oh, I forgot my x there, plus 25. Now, our final answer will have this negative on the outside. So I'm going to just write it down here. We'll write our final answer down here. Then we'll have 2 sets of parentheses. So now that I've got that negative on the outside, I won't forget about it. I'm going to remove it from here. So we're working with 6x squared plus 25x plus 25. So how do we do this? All right, first of all, if I look up here, I have ax squared plus bx plus c. Whatever is in front of your x squared term is your a. Whatever is in front of your x is your b. And the constant, the number without a variable, is your c. And we're going to use those numbers to figure out how this is factored. So the first thing we're going to do here, if you look at the big X here, we have a times c. So a, again, is the number in front of the x squared. So when I look at my problem here, we've got a 6. 6. Oops, that color is not going to go for this. 6. And we're going to times that by c. Well, c is the number that doesn't have the variable. It's the constant. So 25. When I take 6 times 25, I get 150. So that's what we have here. All right. Now, b is the number, the coefficient for the x term. So we got a positive 25 in front of the x, so b is 25. Whew. So I've got 150 and 25. What are we going to do with those? Well, we are going to ask ourselves what multiplies to 150 and adds to 25. Just like we did with the other problems, we're just doing it in a little bit of a different form so we can see it better. So let's look at what multiplies to 150. Let me get a different color again. So 150, we got 1 times 150. We got 2 times 75. Oops. We got 3 times 50. Does 4 go in there? 4, nope. Does 5? Of course, 5 will. 5 times 30. Does 6 go in there? 6 times 2, that's 12, 26. 7, no. 8. 8 times anything equal 150. Let's think about it. 1 times, no. 9. 9 times anything 150. Nope. 10. Well, 10 times 15 is 150. All right. So remember, these numbers, I think I've gone far enough now. These numbers, when they multiply, we got to get 150. So it has to be one of the combinations. So it can be 1 and 150, 2 and 75, 3 and 50, 5 and 30, etc. But when we add the two numbers, we got to get 25. Well, 1 plus 150 is not 25. 2 plus 75, no. 3 plus 50, no. 5 plus 30, no. 6 plus 26, actually 6 times 26, that's not right. Oh, 6 times what? 6 times 25, right? Ugh, that was an awful mistake. 6 times 25, or 6 plus 25 does not equal 25. But 10 plus 15 equals 25, and 10 times 15 is 150. So we found our numbers to put in there. So let's put them in there. And when you put them in there, I want you to put the variable with them. We're using an X, so we're going to use an X. So now we're going to come over to our special box we have here. I want you to look at your AX squared term. The AX squared term always goes in this first box. So we've got 6x squared. And the constant, the number without a variable, always goes in this box. So we got 25. Now these other two boxes, we need to put in our 10x and 15x. And guess what? It doesn't matter which one you put in which box. So if you want to put the 10x here and the 15x here, that's awesome. All right. Or you could have put the 15x where the 10x is. It doesn't make a difference. This special box that we're working with is a magic box. So watch how it works. So I'm going to change my color here so we can see when we put something on the outside. So I want to look at this 6x here and the 10x. And I want to say, what's the greatest common factor between the two of them? Well, when I look at the 6, 6 does not go into 10. But what multiplies the 6? 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Of those numbers, what's the biggest one that goes into 10? 2. Put the letter X with it. Because they both have an X, right? So you're always going to factor out an X there. Now think of this little square as the area. Or rectangle, I should say. And remember, length times width equals the area. So we're going to ask ourselves, 2x times what gives us 6x squared? All right, so 2 times 3 gives us 6. And x times x is x squared. So 2x times 3x is 6x squared. All right, I'm going to put a parenthesis here, and I'm going to put a parenthesis here. Now, let's look at the area of this box, or rectangle here. So I know 2x times a positive 5 will give me 10. And since I've already got the x, I don't need another one. 5 times 2x is 10x. And we're done. So that's our first factor. Put it down here. Now, I'm going to put my other parenthesis here. I already know I've got a 2x there. There's different ways you can do this. This little rectangle here, we already know that this side is 5. So 5 times what is 25? A positive 5. So that's my other factor. And when you look at this way, what's the greatest common factor for 15x and 25? It's 5. If you look straight up and down, the first two boxes here, what's the greatest common factor for 6x squared and 15x? It's 3x. over here, straight up and down, what's the greatest common factor for 10x and 25? 5. So this magical box works in all directions. It's pretty cool. It seems like a lot of work, but once you get used to doing it, this is an easy method for factoring trinomials that have a coefficient other than 1 for the leading coefficient. So I'm going to be doing another problem in the next video. So if you're still struggling, why don't you open up the next video and pause it, try to do the problem yourself, and then watch me walk through with it. All right. Have an awesome day.